The WNBA is facing something it never saw coming, and this time, there's no spinning out of it. We're not talking about bad press or angry fans on social media. We're talking about Congress stepping in with threats of federal investigations. The Republican Study Committee just put the league on notice, warning that if the violent targeting of players continues, the Department of Justice and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission could get involved. Let that sink in for a second. A professional sports league is being threatened with federal civil rights probes. This isn't about basketball anymore. It's about something much bigger, and it all centers around one player who's been getting battered on the court while the league looks the other way. Former players are speaking out. Lawmakers from both sides are demanding answers. And the commissioner? Radio silence. The league built its most profitable season ever on the back of one rookie sensation, doubled its revenue, packed arenas across the country, and now faces the very real possibility of federal intervention because it refuses to protect the same player who saved it from irrelevance. This isn't just a controversy. It's a full-blown crisis, and the clock is ticking.
Star, yes, she is in her own right. Let's blow this thing up. Let's listen.
Congress is getting involved. We just talked about it. The Republican Study Committee is threatening, saying that they're putting the league on notice. If the violent targeting continues unchecked, the league could face a DOJ or an EEOC crackdown for violating federal civil rights laws. Is that helpful, Katie? And why do you think this has gone on so long? Like, why does the league not protect her?
Yeah, I think it is helpful. I think anytime.
The Republican Study Committee doesn't mess around. When they send a letter to a sports league, you know things have escalated beyond the usual drama. But that's exactly what happened. The committee, representing a massive block of congressional Republicans, sent a direct warning to the WNBA. The message was crystal clear. Get your house in order, or federal investigators will do it for you. They're talking about potential violations of federal civil rights laws. That's not a slap on the wrist. That's the kind of language that makes lawyers nervous and executives start sweating. The committee specifically called out the league's failure to address what they termed violent targeting of players. And while they didn't name names in the official letter, everyone knows exactly who they're talking about. The incidents have been piling up all season long. Hard fouls that go uncalled. Flagrant contact that gets reviewed only after games are over. Physical play that crosses the line from competitive to dangerous. The committee isn't buying the league's excuses anymore, and neither is anyone else paying attention. What makes this different from typical sports controversies is the involvement of federal lawmakers. Congress doesn't usually wade into how basketball games are officiated. They've got bigger problems to deal with. But when multiple representatives start coordinating letters and making public statements, it means something has broken through the noise. It means constituents are angry enough to flood congressional offices with complaints. It means the optics are bad enough that politicians see an opportunity, or a genuine problem, or both. The threat of DOJ involvement isn't just symbolic. The Department of Justice has broad authority to investigate civil rights violations, especially in organizations that operate across state lines and generate significant revenue. If federal investigators decided the league was allowing a hostile work environment or failing to protect employees from discriminatory treatment, they could subpoena records, interview players and staff, and potentially bring charges. The EEOC angle is just as serious. That agency handles workplace discrimination complaints, and professional athletes are employees, even if we sometimes forget that. If the commission found evidence that the league tolerated targeting based on race, popularity, or any other protected category, the consequences could be devastating. The league finds itself in an impossible position. Ignore Congress and risk federal investigation. Acknowledge the problem and admit they've been negligent all season. Either way, the narrative is already out of their control. Former players are doing interviews. Current players are making pointed comments in post-game pressers. Fans are organizing online campaigns. And through it all, the commissioner has remained almost completely silent, as if hoping this will somehow blow over. It won't. Not this time.
You have lawmakers now using their voice and using their platform. I think it is helpful just to bring continued awareness. What everybody is asking for, lawmakers, players, I think GMs, I think across the board, is the league to find that consistency with officiating. So I think it is important that people continue to use their voice, people continue to use their platform to advocate for change. When you know that something's not right, you need to change it. So I think it is good that they hear from all different sectors, the league, and try to find a way. Again, I know it's a tough job. Being an official is probably one of the toughest jobs in any.
Katie Douglas knows the WNBA from the inside. She played in the league for years, made All-Star teams, wore the Indiana Fever jersey, and experienced everything that comes with being a professional basketball player at that level. So when she went on Fox News and said the league has serious problems with officiating consistency and player protection, people listened. This wasn't some talking head speculating from the outside. This was someone who lived it, calling out her former league on national television. Douglas didn't dance around the issue. She acknowledged that being a referee is incredibly difficult, that calls have to be made in real time, that mistakes happen. But she also made it clear that what's happening right now goes beyond normal officiating challenges. She talked about the obvious targeting, the physical play that crosses lines, the need for the league to find consistency in how games are called. Most importantly, she said what a lot of people have been thinking. The league knows there's a problem, and they're choosing not to fix it. What made Douglas's comments so powerful was her measured tone. She wasn't ranting or making wild accusations. She was calmly, professionally pointing out that when you know something isn't right, you have an obligation to change it. She called for the league to hear from all sectors, to take input from players, general managers, lawmakers, and fans. She acknowledged the difficulty of the situation while still insisting that difficulty doesn't excuse inaction. Coming from a former player, someone who understands the culture and the challenges, that critique carries weight. It's harder for the league to dismiss as uninformed outsider criticism. The Fox News appearance wasn't an isolated incident either. Douglas has been joined by other former players speaking out through various channels. Some have been more direct, others more diplomatic, but the message is consistent. Current players are being physically targeted in ways that go beyond normal competitive basketball, and the league isn't doing enough about it. There's something particularly telling about former players being the ones leading this charge. Current players have to be careful. They're still employed by the league, still playing under contracts, still worried about how their comments might affect their careers or their relationships with teammates and coaches. Former players have more freedom to speak honestly, and what they're saying paints a troubling picture. They're describing a league that talks about player safety but doesn't back it up with action. A league that's more concerned with managing narratives than addressing legitimate problems. A league that's benefiting financially from increased attention while failing to protect the players generating that attention. Douglas ended her Fox News segment by emphasizing that the league needs to do better. That consistency in officiating is achievable if there's genuine commitment to it. But her tone suggested she's not particularly optimistic about that commitment materializing anytime soon.
Of professional sports and all sports, because it's right, it's live time, but they've got to find a way, because it's Caitlin Clark definitely getting a lot of physicality, a lot of plays.
Do you think it's jealousy?
I don't know that it's jealousy, but I do think that she does have a target. But I think that the league has to understand, if that is the case, that they do have to do a better job of being consistent.
We got to go. We loved having you, and I think you've got some big celebrations coming up. You've got a family member about to get drafted to the MLB. Congrats.
Thank you.
Great to have you, Katie.
So
Thanks
that
so
was
much.
Katie.
Representative Zach Nunn didn't just send a form letter. He made this personal. As a congressman from Iowa and a father of young daughters who watched Caitlin Clark's entire basketball journey, from high school to college to the pros, he's got skin in this game. His kids are fans. His constituents are fans. And they're all watching what's happening to the player who put Iowa basketball on the national map. Nunn went on television to explain why he and other members of Congress decided to get involved in what might seem like a sports league's internal issue. His reasoning was straightforward. When millions of Americans, including young girls looking up to professional athletes, watch a player get repeatedly and violently fouled with no meaningful consequences, that's a problem that extends beyond basketball. The numbers he cited are staggering. Clark broke every NCAA Division I scoring record for both men and women. She nearly doubled WNBA sales. She brought millions of new fans to a league that desperately needed them. She created what Nunn called a once-in-a-generation opportunity for women's basketball. And the league's response to this gift has been to profit off her while failing to protect her. Nunn didn't mince words about what he and his daughters have witnessed. Eye gouging, punches to the throat, violent fouls that happen repeatedly with minimal consequences. He pointed out that this isn't what Americans want to see, and it's not what the league should allow. Even the Fever's own coach has called the fouling egregious. Even Clark herself has said the league needs to change. When the player being targeted, her coach, former players, fans, and now lawmakers are all saying the same thing, maybe it's time to listen. The letter Nunn and other representatives sent asked 3 basic questions. First, how is the league dealing with violence on the court? Second, what is being done to hold that violence accountable? Third, how is the league addressing threats both online and offline to protect players? These aren't complicated questions. They don't require extensive research or complex policy proposals. They're asking the league to explain its basic approach to player safety. What makes congressional involvement particularly significant is that it elevates this from a sports story to a potential legal and regulatory issue. Members of Congress have oversight authority and investigative powers. They can hold hearings, subpoena witnesses, and draw sustained media attention to issues they decide to champion. The WNBA can't just ignore this the way it might ignore angry tweets or critical blog posts. Nunn specifically called out the league for making billions off Clark and other players while doing a poor job protecting them. He noted that 5 hard fouls on Clark were called after the fact, with 3 coming after games were already over. That's not officiating in the moment. That's damage control after public outcry, and it's not good enough.
Speaking about the WNBA in the current juncture, listen to Zach Nunn, a congressman.
Added that Iowa has your back. Keep the faith, Caitlin. Now, as a lawmaker from her home state and a father of young girls, what inspired you to send this letter to the WNBA?
Well, Tiffany, I think this is one of the wonderful things about Caitlin's entire career, from playing high school basketball right here in the heart of the heartland to what she's done with the University of Iowa. She has broken every NCAA Division I record in scoring for both men and women. And moving on to the Fever,
Let's talk about what Caitlin Clark has meant to the WNBA in purely business terms, because that makes what's happening even more absurd. Before she was drafted, the league was struggling for relevance. Viewership was stagnant. Attendance was mediocre in most markets. Mainstream sports media barely covered it. Then Clark arrived, and everything changed almost overnight. Television ratings doubled in some markets. Ticket sales exploded. The Fever went from playing in half-empty arenas to selling out everywhere they went, home and away. Merchandise sales skyrocketed. Social media engagement went through the roof. The league suddenly found itself getting primetime coverage on major sports networks. All of this happened because one player brought her massive college fan base with her to the professional level. She delivered something the WNBA had been trying to manufacture for years: mainstream cultural relevance. Young girls bought her jersey. Families planned trips around seeing her play. Sports bars that never showed WNBA games before started putting them on their screens. She became a crossover star in a league that had struggled to create them. The financial impact can't be overstated. Sponsorship deals increased. Broadcasting rights became more valuable. The league negotiated better terms with partners because they could point to actual engagement numbers that justified higher rates. Players across the league benefited from the rising tide, with increased salaries and better travel conditions directly tied to the revenue surge Clark helped generate. This should have been the easiest decision in sports management history. Protect your most valuable asset. Make sure the player driving your financial renaissance stays healthy and stays on the court. Ensure that the fan experience matches the marketing promises. Instead, the league has presided over a season where that same player has been targeted with physical play that often crosses into dangerous territory. The statistics tell the story. Clark has been on the receiving end of more flagrant fouls than any other player. She's been involved in more post-game officiating reviews. She's taken more hard hits that went uncalled in the moment. The numbers show a clear pattern of physical targeting that goes beyond normal competitive basketball. Here's the truly mind-boggling part. Every time Clark gets fouled hard, every time there's a controversial no call, every time she takes an elbow or gets shoved to the ground, it generates headlines. The league gets attention, but it's not good attention. It's not the kind that brings sponsors running. It's the kind that makes parents hesitate before signing their daughters up for basketball leagues. It's the kind that makes casual fans tune out because they don't want to watch someone get hurt. The league is literally killing the golden goose while it's still laying golden eggs. The business case for better officiating and player protection isn't complicated. Healthy stars playing clean, competitive basketball generates sustainable revenue. Stars getting targeted and injured generates short-term controversy followed by long-term decline. The WNBA seems determined to learn this lesson the hard way.
He has nearly doubled the sales for what the WNBA have achieved. This is an incredibly historic, almost once-in-a-generation opportunity. But most importantly, I think that she's turned millions of fans onto what the WNBA can be, including, as you noted, my kids. My daughters love watching the Caitlin story, and they love seeing the other players and seeing the team come together. But they also, feel affronted as well when they watch a player like Caitlin get violently fouled repeatedly, when they see her gouged in the eye or punched in the throat. This isn't something that Americans should want or that the league should allow. And so this is one of the reasons that I and other members of Congress have stood up to call this out and really say, we want protection for our players. In the same way that the Fever's own coach has said, the fouling has now become egregious. Caitlin herself is highlighting.
Commissioner Cathy Engelbert's silence throughout this crisis has been deafening. As the person ultimately responsible for league operations, officiating standards, and player safety, she's the one who should be out front addressing these concerns. She should be holding press conferences, releasing detailed statements, appearing on sports shows to explain what the league is doing differently. Instead, there's been almost nothing. A few bland corporate statements that don't address the specific issues. Some generic language about supporting all players. Nothing that demonstrates genuine understanding of the problem or commitment to solving it. The contrast with how other sports commissioners have handled similar crises is stark. When the NFL faced criticism about player safety and concussions, the commissioner eventually had to stand up and address it directly. When the NBA dealt with officiating controversies, there were public explanations and rule clarifications. When college sports faced abuse scandals, leaders were forced to testify and implement changes. Engelbert seems to be hoping this blows over without requiring her personal involvement, and that strategy is failing spectacularly. Multiple representatives from Dan Dakich's interview made a crucial point. All Engelbert has to do is respond to the congressional letter with transparency and accountability. Write an open letter acknowledging the concerns. Thank lawmakers for their attention to the league. Commit to specific actions on officiating, player safety, and accountability for violent play. It's not complicated crisis management. It's basic leadership. Take ownership. Take responsibility. Outline concrete steps. Follow through, but that hasn't happened, and the vacuum of leadership is being filled by critics, former players, and politicians who are shaping the narrative in ways the league can't control anymore. The longer Engelbert stays quiet, the worse this gets. Silence reads as indifference or incompetence. Neither is a good look when Congress is threatening federal investigations. The letter the representatives are asking for wouldn't even require admitting wrongdoing. It could simply acknowledge that competitive basketball should be physical but not hostile, that every player deserves to feel safe on the court, and that the league is reviewing its officiating protocols to ensure consistency. That's all it would take to at least show some leadership and begin shifting the conversation. But here's what makes the silence even more problematic. By not addressing this directly, Engelbert is essentially leaving players, coaches, and team owners to navigate this mess on their own. Coaches are being put in impossible positions during post-game interviews, having to choose between criticizing officiating and getting fined or staying silent and looking like they don't care about player safety. Players are having to answer questions about targeting and physical play instead of talking about basketball. The Fever organization is caught between supporting their star player and maintaining good relationships with the league office. All of this could be mitigated by strong, clear leadership from the top. Instead, everyone is left guessing about what the league actually thinks about these issues and what, if anything, is going to change. That's not how you run a professional sports organization, especially one that's finally getting mainstream attention after years of struggling for relevance.
The league has to change. And candidly, for every player's safety, we want to make sure that we're holding the commissioner accountable about performing better. We just can all be better. And so we've asked 3 basic questions. 1, how are you dealing with violence on the court? 2, what are you doing to hold violence accountable? And 3, how are you holding threats both online and off the court accountable to help protect our players? Look, the league has made billions of dollars off of Caitlin and others in the WNBA. They've done a great job franchising her. They've done a pretty poor job protecting her and other players. In this alone,
This controversy extends way beyond one player, even if she's at the center of it. Multiple people have raised the question of whether there's a racism component to how this situation has been handled. Others have pointed to jealousy within the league, veteran players who resent a rookie coming in and immediately becoming the face of the sport. Some have suggested it's about defending territory, established stars who don't want to be overshadowed. Whatever the underlying causes, the pattern is clear. A player who's brought unprecedented attention and revenue to the league is being physically targeted in ways that go beyond normal competition, and the league isn't stopping it. That raises uncomfortable questions about league culture and what's actually tolerated behind the scenes. If other players feel empowered to play aggressively physical basketball against one specific opponent, where is that coming from? Is it tacitly encouraged? Is it simply not discouraged strongly enough? Are referees being told to let them play in ways that enable dangerous contact? The answers to these questions matter because they reveal what kind of organization the WNBA actually is beneath the marketing campaigns about empowerment and excellence. The Lexi Hull incident that was mentioned shows this isn't isolated to one player. Hull, Clark's teammate, got punched in the face by Alyssa Thomas during a game, on camera, clearly visible, the kind of play that should result in immediate ejection and serious suspension. The response? Minimal. That tells you everything about how physical play is being officiated this season. When players can throw punches with limited consequences, the league has lost control of the standard it's setting. Other incidents throughout the season have reinforced this pattern. Hard fouls that in previous years would have been flagrant are being called common. Contact that should result in suspensions gets a technical at most. The officiating has been inconsistent at best and negligent at worst. Players across the league are noticing. Some are taking advantage of the lax standards. Others are getting frustrated that the game they love is turning into something uglier. Coaches are publicly questioning officiating after games, which is rare because it usually results in fines. When coaches are willing to pay money to criticize officiating, you know the problem is serious. Reports suggest that players around the league are divided on this issue. Some sympathize with what's happening and think the targeting has gotten out of hand. Others seem to think the attention on one player is overblown and that physical play is just part of basketball. That division reflects broader tensions within the league about how to handle the sudden surge in attention and revenue. Not everyone is happy about how the growth has happened or who's driving it. Those internal dynamics are bubbling to the surface in ways the league can't control. The WNBA wanted growth and mainstream relevance. Now it has both, along with all the scrutiny that comes with it. Federal lawmakers investigating your league. Former players criticizing your operations on national television. Fans organizing campaigns demanding change. This is what major league status looks like, and the WNBA is learning that the hard way.
Seen Caitlin have 5 hard fouls called after the fact, 3 of those after the game was already over. This has got to change, and the league needs to do better.
Whew! And guess what, guys? That's not it, because Indiana Fever insider Dan Dockich had another representative on his channel. Let's listen to this clip.
What point does Cathy Engelbert's handling of this or lack of handling of this become a referendum on her leadership of the WNBA and whether that leadership should continue?
That's a great question. Dan, I think all she has to do is respond to the letter and make it an open letter and say, you know what, we're hearing you guys loud and clear. We appreciate your attention to, the league and what's happening on the court. We're going to take every action needed, whether it's with our referees, whether it's with our coaches and the players, and be sure that we run our league professionally, but also, to where it's still very competitive on the court. I mean, we all love competitive.
Here's what makes this entire situation so frustrating. The solution isn't complicated. It doesn't require extensive research or innovative policy proposals. It doesn't need months of committee meetings or expensive consultants. The fix is straightforward. Call the games consistently, protect all players equally, and punish dangerous play with meaningful consequences. That's it. 3 basic principles that every other major sports league manages to implement with reasonable success. The WNBA could announce tomorrow that they're reviewing officiating standards, that flagrant fouls will be called more strictly, that post-game reviews will result in automatic suspensions for dangerous contact, and that player safety is the top priority going forward. They could bring in officiating experts to conduct mid-season training. They could release regular reports on how fouls are being called and what standards are being applied. They could create transparency around the officiating process so fans and teams understand how decisions are made. None of this is revolutionary. It's basic sports league management, but it requires admitting there's a problem, and that seems to be the sticking point. The representatives who spoke publicly about this made the same point. They're not asking for special treatment for one player. They're asking for basic consistency and safety standards that protect everyone on the court. If the league implemented those standards, the controversy would die down almost immediately. Fans want to see competitive basketball. They want physical play and intense defense. What they don't want to see is players getting injured because referees aren't calling dangerous fouls or because the league isn't punishing players who cross the line. The difference between physical and violent is clear to anyone watching these games. Physical is a hard screen that's set legally. Physical is fighting through contact to get to the basket. Physical is defending without fouling. Violent is throwing elbows at faces. Violent is hitting someone away from the ball. Violent is making contact clearly intended to hurt rather than compete. Referees know the difference. The league knows the difference. They're just choosing not to enforce it consistently, and that choice is creating this crisis. What's particularly maddening is that better officiating would actually improve the product on the court. Games would flow better. The best players would stay healthy. Fans would trust that outcomes are determined by basketball skill rather than who's willing to commit the hardest fouls. Ratings would stay high because the star players' driving interest would be on the court instead of injured. This isn't a trade-off between entertainment and safety. Better player protection enhances the entertainment value by keeping stars healthy and letting skill determine outcomes. The WNBA is choosing the worst of both worlds: dangerous play that threatens player health and generates negative headlines rather than positive storylines. Every day that goes by without meaningful change, the league digs itself deeper into a hole that's going to be harder to climb out of. Congressional attention doesn't just go away. Federal investigations, once started, take on lives of their own. The window for getting ahead of this is closing fast.
Basketball, I mean, the games where it even gets physical, that's fine, as long as it doesn't become hostile. And so if she would write a letter like that, take ownership, take responsibility, that's what we're looking for. And that's why, we're stepping in, because we feel like the management and the ownership and the league is not taking the responsibility to protect every player. I mean, Caitlin Clark, she's the one that's been targeted. This is an easy one to say, hey, we're going to make sure we clean this up. But every player in the league needs to feel like they're going to be safe when they go out on the court, and there's not going to be some sort of personal vendetta taken out against one particular player or another. Right now, the Indiana Fever, I have a feeling they're feeling a little targeted. Good thing they.
So you guys can watch.
The pressure isn't going to decrease. If anything, it's building. The Republican Study Committee's letter isn't just symbolic. It's a public commitment from powerful lawmakers that they're watching this situation and expecting action. If the WNBA doesn't respond adequately, those representatives will face questions from constituents about why they're not following through on their threats. That creates political pressure to actually pursue federal investigations or hearings. The Department of Justice doesn't investigate every complaint it receives, but when members of Congress are publicly calling for it, the calculus changes. The EEOC similarly has limited resources and has to prioritize cases, but high-profile complaints backed by lawmakers tend to get attention. Even if federal agencies don't ultimately bring charges, the investigation process itself would be devastating for the league. Subpoenas for internal communications. Depositions of league officials and players. Media coverage of every development. Sponsors getting nervous about association with an organization under federal investigation. The playoffs are coming, which should be the WNBA's moment to capitalize on the season's increased attention. But instead of promoting competitive series and star matchups, the league might be answering questions about federal investigations and player safety failures. That's going to affect everything from broadcasting deals to merchandise sales to next year's draft prospects. Some observers have suggested that political pressure might ease after the current news cycle moves on to other topics. That's wishful thinking. The representatives who have gotten involved didn't do so casually. They've made public commitments and sent official letters. Their offices are tracking this. Constituent groups are watching to see if they follow through. This isn't going away just because other news happens. If anything, the WNBA's continued silence and inaction is ensuring that the story has legs. Every game that features questionable officiating generates new headlines. Every hard foul on a star player creates new clips that go viral on social media. Every interview with a former player criticizing the league adds fuel to the fire. The league has lost control of the narrative, and getting it back requires decisive action that hasn't materialized yet. There's also the question of what happens in the offseason. Will players start speaking more freely once their seasons end? Will more former players join the chorus of criticism? Will sponsors start asking harder questions about what they're associating their brands with? The WNBA built its most successful season ever, and instead of celebrating that success and building on it, they're facing potential federal investigations and widespread criticism of how they operate. The pathway forward exists. Acknowledge the problem. Implement clear changes to officiating standards. Punish dangerous play consistently. Communicate transparently with players, teams, and fans about what's being done differently. Engage with the congressional concerns seriously rather than dismissing them. None of this is impossible. It just requires leadership that's been absent so far. The question isn't whether the WNBA can fix this. The question is whether they will before the decision gets taken out of their hands entirely. The WNBA stands at a crossroads it created for itself. On one side is genuine reform, transparent leadership, and the chance to prove that the league can handle mainstream attention responsibly. On the other side is federal investigation, continued controversy, and the slow erosion of all the goodwill and growth this season generated. The choice should be obvious, but the league's response so far suggests they might choose the harder path. Congressional pressure doesn't disappear. Former players won't stop speaking out. Fans won't forget what they've watched all season. The star player who saved the league from irrelevance is being battered while the commissioner stays silent and the officials look the other way. That's not a sustainable model for any professional sports organization. At some point, leadership has to lead. Accountability has to mean something. Player safety has to be more than a marketing slogan. The clock is running out on the WNBA's ability to control this narrative. Every day without meaningful action is another day closer to federal investigators making decisions for them. The league wanted mainstream relevance. Now they're getting mainstream scrutiny, and the question is whether they're prepared to meet that moment with the leadership it demands.